Views and content expressed in the following program are not representative of ONTV or the Board of Directors. ONTV and its Board of Directors do not endorse the views, thoughts, or content of the following program.
Hello and welcome to Political News, Political Views. As always, no teleprompters, no cue cards, no idiot boards, just a couple idiots. Right here we have a so-called liberal. I don't know how I got the tag liberal when I'm probably as conservative as anyone. And on the other side of this plexiglass, not wearing a mask, is the Republican.
No. I'm still an independent to an extent.
Okay, now I'm going to take my mask off. All right. Here we go. All right. Okay, the one thing we do on this show, Todd is always telling me I don't have a format. We fill an hour of...
Ad-lib, basically.
Yeah, opinions. The one thing that... we try to do is to bring up topics to make you think. We agree, we disagree, we share agreement, we share disagreement. Our points of view are varied, and we don't foist them on others. What we do try to do is, there's some of the things that I hear when some of the politicians see something, they say, I'm really concerned. I'm wondering, stop being a damn fool. The person is acting like a jackass. Okay? If they said something stupid, then say they said something stupid. Okay? Now, I'm sure you're going to throw at me that Trump does do that. Well, he's one of them that I'm concerned about.
I'd never stand up for Trump unless it's something that I feel needs a difference of opinion.
Okay. Well, the one thing that I would like to throw at you, several things.
Yes, I'm glad this glass is here.
But the first one is that really impressed me this week is the amount of people that have gone out and voted.
Over 400,000 here in Michigan already.
Yeah, but I mean, the total amount is like what I think they said
30 million.
30 million.
Yep.
That is impressive. I have to say that these are patriots. These are people that have got it. Now, your vote, and you have run for office, I have run for office, and the one thing that I always said is when you run for office, you are asking to be hired for a position. It's not something that you are entitled to. It's not something that's a gift. It's not something that, well, they gave it to me, so I'll do as I damn well please. There's a responsibility and accountability with it. And what I am really impressed with are people are going out there and they're saying, I don't like this. And this is not what I want. Now, granted, it's only one vote and it can be offset. But the fact is you did it. Because when the country was sent over from King George made the rules.
Right.
And they lived with them.
We were a colony at one point.
Okay. Well, our framers didn't want that, our founding fathers. Well, that's one thing that they didn't want, so that's legit. But to see all these people out, I mean, it's impressive.
Well, I mean, the one thing that this election's going to do is to the fact that we won't know who actually wins on election night for a change. The exit polls are pretty much going to be thrown out of the water because Michigan itself isn't going to be able to keep up with all the absentee ballots.
Well, they were saying...
They're saying so far out of the 30 million ballots cast so far, 70% are Democrats, roughly. So, I mean, and the majority of that is voting for the D in front of Biden's name. It has nothing to do with the candidate, hardly. I mean, these are just true blue Democrats, don't care what the candidate is about or anything like that. They've just been mostly Democrats all their life, and a lot of it is also hatred for the man that's in the office right now, Trump. Has nothing to do about Republicans. It's a hatred for an individual that I don't understand.
Well, I'm not gonna dispute that. I do share in that hatred, and that hatred was given to me by him.
Right.
He is a despicable person. Now, he is. I'm not saying that about Republicans. And the one thing that I read today is that Biden is interviewing potential candidates, Republican candidates, for cabinet posts. Now, he's not the first one that's done that.
No, he's not.
But the one thing that's impressive is he's going after good people, and that's what we want. People that one of them is John Kasich, which I like Kasich's platform. I was really
Kasich was a fairly decent governor for Ohio, but from what I've learned lately, paying attention to some of the politics that are going on, is that I found out he wasn't very well liked in Ohio. He was in certain areas, but he wasn't well liked in Ohio. Actually, when the campaign with the election that was going on in 2016, John Kasich was the guy I was rooting for.
Actually, so was I.
Because he has good morals. At least he appeared to have good morals.
Well, from what I've read in his book, yes, he does. He does stand for something. He does take an objective look at it. He is leaning to the Republican side, which there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
I don't think that you need to tie down to one party or the other, because I think you're doing yourself a disservice. And
right, but right now politics are toxic.
Yes.
Like I said when you were joking around about I'm being a Republican, in my next race I will run as a Republican.
Well, I didn't mean that as a slam.
I know. I've been an independent all my life, and what I mean by an independent is a person who, and I've probably said this many times on the show, as an independent is a person who's capable of looking at the candidates themselves along with their policies. It doesn't matter if there's a D or an R in front of their name, or a G for that matter for the Green Party. I believe in looking at the policy and how's that going to fit for my family and my community. So, I mean, I've voted for Barack Obama. I've voted for Ronald Reagan.
Same here.
You know, the thing is, I will vote for a Democrat if he's worthy and his policies are worthy, that it benefits the people. And I will vote for a Republican for the same reason. Like I said, I will stand up for Trump on certain things. I don't agree with what he says a lot of the time. I don't agree with some of his mannerisms. But the fact is, you know, if a man or a woman is doing a good job in that position, that I will stand behind them no matter what. I have a lot of respect for the office itself. So, see, I told you, turn down the volume before.
No, that's another spammer.
But at the same time, you know, we've got people, and I call them true blues. Those are Democrats. They'll vote Democrat no matter what. The candidate can be, put it nicely, a piece of crap.
Tuna sandwich, piece of crap.
Okay, yeah, there you go. However you want to look at it. Either way, when it comes out the opposite end,
yeah.
it smells bad.
All right. So they can start out as one party and end up in another?
Yeah,
okay,
there you go. We, you know, and that was like when I decided to run, and I'm not going to mention the office I'm running for again, but the thing is, when I first ran, I ran as an independent, thinking that Michigan was ready for an independent. They're really not. They're too set on the duopoly of the two parties, the two-party system. And so I had to sit down and honestly think about where I really am. I mean, I'm still an independent, no matter how anybody wants to, what side they want to put me into. I lean slightly towards the Democratic side. But right now, the Democratic Party's too toxic. I would not even go into that for any reason whatsoever. But like I said, I'm so close to a centrist that my only choice this time is I am going to run as a Republican.
Well, the funny thing is, Biden is a centrist. Now, he may have taken a step closer
He's
to the
not
left.
a moderate.
How do you figure that?
Biden, if you look back over his last 47 years, and we've had part of this discussion last time, you know, he's put himself in a position where, and again, it's partially because of the times. I realize that, and I mean, the man's, 78 years old, so he's 24 years older than I am, 21 years older than you.
You're too kind.
I know I cut a year off there, so.
Now you're really kind. Kind of what? I don't know.
But at the same time, I mean, from the 60s up until now, we've had issues with racism and all this other stuff. Biden was partially involved with all that as well.
Yes, but
All the politicians were. We had members of the KKK that were in our Senate and Congress. You know, it's what the times were back then, and I'm not saying they were good times. Don't ever think that, because I'm against racism anyways. I mean, I look at it this way: we all bleed red when we get cut, and we all put our pants on the same way, one leg at a time. I don't care what color the skin is. But I just think right now the issue I have with Biden, and a lot of people are fighting with me on Facebook over this, is this $400,000 tax thing that he wants to put in, $4 trillion more in taxes.
Well, now wait a minute. The rich, now the 400,000 was a starting point. Now that doesn't necessarily mean that's going to go. It's going to be negotiated, but you start somewhere, and that's his starting point. The Republicans are going to come back, and they should.
But the people aren't. The people are thinking, and this is what I'm getting off social media. The people are thinking that he's only going to tax these people who make $400,000 or more. The problem with that is 80% of those 400,000 people, or $400,000 wages, are business owners, small mom and pop businesses that filed as an LLC. Now, when you file as an LLC, that's what the income you're making, even though you are the business, or a DBA, however you want to phrase it, even small S corps.
That is a starting point, because it doesn't matter if you're Democrat or Republican, and the so-called squatter in the House right now with his
coffee break.
Mexico is going to pay for the wall. I mean, that's great. That's great, because
those are talking points. That's all they really are.
Yeah, but that was just asinine, because you don't tell another country what they're going to do. You don't have the power to do that.
No.
Now, it was nice for show. Look at me, I'm going to tell Mexico. And then he got caught on the phone asking the president at that time, can you please just go along with me and just say you're going to do it, and then we'll let it blow. Well, somebody leaked it.
Right.
Well, don't do that. Don't do you have to. The president has to have some credibility.
What?
And this guy
let me
tells
ask you
more
this
lies.
Question. Let me ask you this question. What 2 points out of this election are you looking at the most?
One, keeping the democracy, because Trump has gone ahead and he's done several things.
Well, first off, we're not a democracy. We're a republic.
Okay, Republican democracy, Democratic republic, whatever you want to call it. But we're not an autocracy.
No, we're not.
And the one thing that he's doing.
But those aren't political talking points. That's just your opinion and feelings.
No, because we are leaning that way. We see the steps being taken. One area that he's going to go after, and the thing is with Trump, he is vindictive. He is retaliatory.
Yes.
Now,
But most business people are.
First of all, he isn't that great a business person. If you look at all the businesses that had failed him, including...
Generally, when you start up a business, you have your failures.
He's got a lot of failures and 4 bankruptcies. Plus, he's been bailed out over and over and over and over again.
Kinda
and he
like
still
General Motors.
fails. Yeah, but General Motors has produced some numbers.
General Motors is going to have an issue because they've made a promise to go completely electric. They're going to have an issue on that. But you got off the point.
My first point. The first point is that right now we are not voting for a person. We are voting for a form of government. With Biden being the representative of the Democrats and then the Trumpster being the representative of whatever the hell he's got there, because I don't believe it's even the Republican Party anymore. But aside from that,
the
direction that we're going to go in is what is at stake here.
Do you realize that the people, the majority, well, I can't say that, the Republican Party feels, and the people that they're dealing with, and from what I've been hearing, even on social media and a lot of the rallies, and it's a situation like that, they actually feel Trump is actually for the people. And they feel Biden is actually for, I've said it before, socialism, fascism.
First of all, that's crap. Fascism is more of a conservative type of government than it is a liberal.
Fascism is a government that is run by the corporations.
No, fascism.
Socialism is a government
Mussolini,
who takes over
so what was Mussolini and Hitler? They were fascists.
They were dictators.
Right. That is a government fascism. Now, a business fascism does exist, no doubt.
If you look up the definition of fascism, is a government run by the corporations. Basically, the corporations are telling the government what they want to do.
But that's not how that was run.
I'm not saying it was, but that's the definition. Socialism and communism are so close together.
The other point is, I keep hearing Biden hasn't done anything in 47 years. Well, I don't see any mold or any roots on him. He must have done something. Now, he may not have done anything spectacular, but he sure as hell hasn't done anything.
Just because you don't have mold and roots
wait a minute.
growing,
he hasn't done anything
not,
detrimental either. Even the woman, Anita Hill, she's voting for him. Okay, so, I mean, the thing with Trump is, some people get off on that. Trump has, to me, he breeds hate. He's got militias.
I can say that with Democrats, too.
He's got militias that are at the ready. Now, I've never seen a president who has followers that will go into
in Michigan
violence.
And across this country have always been leaning towards the Republican side. Because the Republicans are more staunch about saving our Second Amendment rights.
Ronald Reagan denounced them. George Bush Sr.
They did not denounce them.
Yes, he did.
They didn't denounce the militias. What they did...
No, not the militias. The right-wing...
you better speak properly, because the militias have always been leaning more on the Republican side.
I'm glad you brought that up, because there was a statement that was made that I had to check it out. What does the Second Amendment say?
I don't know the full wording of it, but it's basically it's about quartering and keeping our rights to bear arms.
Okay. Keeping your rights, and to have a well-regulated militia. That is not a militia that regulates itself.
The right to bear arms and to quarter soldiers, that was back during when the Founding Fathers put it there. That was, if I remember right, on my history, that was the right for the soldiers to be quartered in
the homes of the citizens.
Or citizens, yes.
Yeah. Okay, now, when they wrote that, what were they referring to?
You're talking about the... not the Civil War, but the war with Great Britain and all that.
Yeah. What were they talking about?
You go ahead and enlighten me on this, on your view of it.
Well, they weren't talking about the type of weapons that we have. They were not talking about weapons of war. They were talking about guns and muskets.
First off, we do not have very many actual military-grade weapons within the public's hands. You have to have special permits in order to get those weapons.
There's certain places that you don't have to have special permits, Indiana being one of them. Thank you, Mike Pence.
Military weapons are regulated federally, not by states.
Okay, then why do people have them, and where are they getting them from?
Like I said, you go ahead and tell me which weapons you're talking about. If you're
okay,
talking
let's
about
take the
AR-15,
militia that was up there at the Capitol.
If you're talking about the AR-15s, those are not military-grade weapons. Those are semi-automatic rifles is all they are. They look like a military weapon, but they're not.
The ones that the militia had carried up to the Capitol were. However, they said they had no bullets in them, and they were allowed to
Which
proceed.
weapons were they?
That I couldn't tell you.
That's what I'm getting at. They were not military-grade weapons. Okay? They didn't carry M60s up there or M16A1s.
Let's go back to my point then.
Okay.
When they wrote that, what were they referring to?
They were referring to the fact that the citizens had the right to bear arms. Okay?
What type of arms were they referring to?
That's the same thing. You can go back as the right to travel here in the United States, which is part of our constitutional rights. You have the right to travel. Back then, it was by horse. Okay? Now we have cars, we have motorcycles. It is a living, I don't want to say living, breathing bill, but the fact is, the Constitution and our Bill of Rights, I mean, when you think about it, they wrote this over 240 years ago.
Exactly, that's my whole point.
But you're trying to tell me that our Constitution is outdated?
I'm trying to tell you that the weapons that are out there were not something that were thought of.
We have laws on the books that deny the rights of certain weapons to the people. You can't go out and buy an RPG.
But some of these militias have them.
They don't.
And they have
the majority of them don't have military-grade weapons. I'm telling you that right now.
Well, the ones up in...
the one up in Deckerville where Timothy McVeigh is, they do not have military-grade weapons.
The ones in the state of Washington, where there's 1,000 of them, and they are ex-military and ex-police, and there's 1,000 of them doing maneuvers right now with those weapons. And they do have them, and they're out in the woods.
Like I said, you can get federal permits to get military-grade weapons. But they're not easy to acquire.
But why do we need these weapons to come out and go to the Capitol?
Let me ask you this question. Who generally has the majority of the military-grade weapons?
I don't know.
Our police.
Well, yeah, I did hear that, yes.
Why do you think they have them?
To counter what's out there and to have an advantage.
And it's not our militias they're going against.
Yeah, but if you want to call them a regulated militia,
they're not a regulated militia.
I'm just saying that
they're
regulated.
An organization that
they serve the people.
No, they don't serve the people.
The police don't serve the people.
Oh, the police do.
Yeah,
not the
that's
militias.
what I'm saying.
But we have the right as citizens to form and organize our own groups of whatever we want.
Okay,
you can go have a book club, or you can go have a militia.
Okay, before I want to state that I am for the Second Amendment, but not to the extreme. Now, when I brought up, and this might as well lead into, well, okay, I'll give you an example. When they went up to the Capitol, granted, it is not against the law to carry a gun in there.
Correct.
Now, why, I don't know. You can't.
And our capital in Michigan is known as the People's House.
Okay, now, the basis of that protest was for what?
I don't know. I don't know which protest you're talking about up there.
The first two, when they went into the Capitol during the session, and they had their guns.
There's a lot of people that take guns up there. I don't know. I didn't.
Right.
I wasn't paying
attention. It was a Trump rally, and that was their focus. And then Trump came over and he said that liberate Michigan. My point is, this man projects violence.
No.
No.
I don't agree with that.
Did you ever go to his rallies?
No, I don't.
How about
go to
when he
his
said
rallies.
that he's had people thrown out? The time he said, "Do what you have to." I've got it on tape, and I'll
You're
pay your
talking about
legal
where
bills.
he said stand back and stand down?
No,
Oh,
that
with
was
the governors,
recently.
Yeah.
That was just recently. He has way too many enemies. How come, Putin, who is an enemy, you do consider Putin an enemy or a friend?
I don't consider him an enemy. He's not attacking us, but they are now cyberly. I just remembered that. But
You put your foot in your mouth on that one, didn't you?
no, I didn't put my foot in my
Yeah,
mouth.
you did.
What it is, I don't consider them an enemy. I just consider them a
Adversary?
adversary of the countries. Because look, they're doing what they can to benefit themselves, just like the United States is doing what we can to benefit ourselves. Same thing China does, same thing every country does. They all try to benefit themselves. It's human nature. Now, if Putin wants to start a war, I don't think he'd want to do it with the U.S.
Well, by bringing down the U.S. right now, he's assisting in that. And actually, that was very funny because that was something that Khrushchev had said. He said, "Capitalism, we will bury you." And people thought, he was going to attack us. That's what they thought the Cold War was about. But that's not what it was.
No.
The capitalism will implode by your own volition. All Putin did was help it along. Trump is not a smart...
Capitalism isn't imploding. And a lot of people, and I point this out, socialism, we have not seen one country that has lasted longer than, I can't say that either, because communism's outlasted and dictatorships have outlasted ours country.
Wait a minute. Where do you come up with that?
Well, I was going to say capitalism has been around longer than most of these socialized.
Capitalism started with the United States, but
240 years ago.
Communism started in 1917 when
With
Lenin marched in, and then with China, with Mao Zedong, and then with Tito in Yugoslavia. But Tito was funny about it because even though he was a communist, he held those countries together. And he wasn't benevolent, but he wasn't...
He wasn't a
reasonable.
pushover.
No, he was reasonable.
I mean, because
Okay.
China's been around for over 5,000 years.
So again, my point is that Trump, he's got so many enemies. You can't believe half of what he says. You can't believe 3/4 of what he says. Actually, you can't believe 90% of what he says. He lies, he exaggerates. Now, this stuff with Hunter Biden, which you brought up last week, they have been checking on it.
On the emails.
And the information, wait a minute. How about the computer? Hunter Biden took in a computer with all this stuff on it with a hard drive to get it fixed, and that person...
3 computers.
Yeah, that person just took it straight and gave it to Rudy Giuliani, who gave it to Barr, and now Barr is going to prosecute because Trump wants it prosecuted. Now, doesn't that scare you?
No, don't scare me.
That Trump wants his political enemies put in jail? So if you run the next time...
Whoa. Now,
no.
You don't think what the Democrats have been doing to Trump for the last almost 4 years isn't a
haven't put in
political
jail?
enemy?
Now, wait a minute. Is it possible? And this is where Biden had made a statement, even though we had to talk over Trump.
Well, you got way off the subject where we
no,
started today.
you keep, because you're floating. When he started going in on Hunter Biden, and
you don't
Biden
think the people
said-
have the right to know what's going on between Hunter and Joe Biden with this agreement?
what was Joe Biden's response?
He hasn't responded.
What was Joe Biden's response in that debate?
They have not. Oh, he was at before all this was that debate was before.
No, this was during the debate.
Yeah, I know it. But what you're asking, Joe said that was all discredited. Okay, and that were false or something like that. But then now the emails have come out.
No. The emails are still being scrutinized by the intelligence
Who brought
department.
the emails out? I mean, who brought it out to the public? A liberal main media paper.
No, it came from
The New York Times?
the Post. It
All right,
came from
Post.
this Ukrainian who has been deemed by the intelligence as a Russian operative, who gave it to Rudy Giuliani, who Giuliani is holding on to this just like he did in the script in 2016 when he had this information.
Is your opinion going to be the same once they find out those are legitimate emails?
We're going to find out, but
That's what
so
I'm
far
saying.
nothing has been found.
It will.
He has told Barr, you better prosecute. Well, the thing that bothers me is you want your political enemies and you want people prosecuted and you want to call them names.
They're doing this to him.
Wait a minute, he's doing it to himself.
No.
Now, wait a minute. You didn't answer my question.
You haven't
didn't
answered
answer
any of
my
mine yet
question.
either.
My question was, what did Biden say to Trump when he brought up Hunter Biden in the debate?
He told him that those were something about being not discredited,
No,
but denounced.
He said, if you want to go and start talking about
the families.
the families.
Yeah.
Now, Jared Kushner worked out a loan through his position to pay for his building, his family's
Not during
building.
his presidential position.
Yes, he
No.
did. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Because he went to Saudi Arabia first, who said no. Then he went to Qatar, and Qatar said yes.
You know,
and
here's
then they
what
backed
I've noticed.
off.
This
And
is
then
what I've noticed doing this
Trump
with you.
stepped in,
You
Trump
have
said,
to lean it towards Trump, no matter what it is, even
Trump
when it goes
said
against
that Qatar is
the
now an enemy
Democrats.
of the state. So he ended up getting the money from Canada, and he did pay off the building. It was published by them that, wait a minute,
Why
I'm not
can't
done
you
yet. I'm not
study
done
this
yet.
hard against the Democrat Party just to find the corruption within both parties? Because
Trump
the hatred that
constantly
you
is,
have for
Don't
Trump.
look at me, look at them. Don't look at me, look at them. Don't
Yeah.
look at me, look at them. I'm doing this stuff, and his followers, I mean, he can do no wrong, and yet he does, and he hides it.
I can understand where a lot of the people...
Isn't it possible that he actually did some of this stuff? Isn't it possible?
Then why haven't they found it?
Because he has Bill Barr, he stops it in the courts, non-disclosure agreements, no one can talk, no one's allowed to talk, and look what happened to the people who
But
did.
it's being
Look
done
what happened
legally.
No, it is not being done
Then
legally.
why isn't he in jail?
Because he keeps stepping up and interfering with it. He won't allow it.
Because he's using the
He's
judicial
using the legal process. So is it possible then maybe he's guilty? Because like he said about Hillary Clinton, why didn't she just say...
He's under investigation again, too.
Yeah, by him. He has got this...
By the DOJ.
Through him, he said to do it.
You want to blame everything
He
on
said
him.
it at his rallies.
Just like
He
Biden.
said it at his rallies.
Just like Biden said about
And
the Burisma company
Ivanka
over
Trump
there.
got 23
I got him
patents
fired.
from China while she was there.
Well, like I said,
And
you got
wait a
it
minute,
on both sides.
wait a minute, he
Study
didn't get him
both
fired.
sides.
It was the EU. Please check it out. It was the EU that got him fired, and
Then
it
why
wasn't.
did Biden
he was not
say it on
fired.
video?
He was.
Why did Biden
he
say it
made
on
a
video?
statement, and that statement was twisted. If you
The video's
check it,
there.
check it. The background of it. It wasn't because he did investigate.
You need to
It
calm
was
down a
because
little
he
bit.
didn't. No, because this stuff keeps coming up, and Trump turns and twists it, and then you eat it up and regurgitate
I don't eat it.
You remember that tuna sandwich? It's coming out your backside. Trump is a tuna sandwich.
You need to research both
No,
sides.
I did research, and it turned out that it was
You
the
can't just
EU that
research
wanted him
on-
fired.
you cannot
now,
just
there
research on liberal
there
sides.
No, this is not the liberal side. This is factual. And then
Only
Biden had money for Ukraine, but part of the agreement was that they were not going to give him the money if this man, who was not investigating,
Then why
he
is
did
there
not
videos
investigate
out there with Biden
because
saying it right from his own
Look
mouth?
at the whole video and look at the background. Biden
Just
had
like-
nothing
just
to
like
do
the
with that.
videos of Charlottesville
that was
with
the
Trump?
EU. Wait a minute, that video of Charlottesville, that was all shown. There was no
Right.
cutting in that.
There was no.
He
there
didn't
was,
say that.
He did. No, they took it out of context with that portion.
Tell me how he took it out of context.
Let's go back to these questions that we were asked. That I asked you.
The woman got run over. We saw it in real time.
That isn't what I was talking about.
When
in
those
Charlottesville.
guys were marching, they had their
Signs.
not signs, their
Flags?
well, they had the flags too, but what was the torches? And what did they say? What were they saying?
Well, I'm
Oh, you
talking
don't know-
about
you don't know what they
I'm
were saying?
talking about what Trump was accused of saying, how he was saying there was good people on both sides. I mean, when that statement is the one that they've been putting out all over the place.
Yeah.
Trump
And
never
he-
once has ever. He's always been against white supremacy and all that. He denounced David Duke back then too.
He didn't know who David Duke was.
No, but he denounced him after he found out.
You can't be serious.
No, I don't believe he's
Oh,
a
we
racist.
better get off of this.
But,
We better
all
get
right,
off of
let's
this.
go back
All
to
right,
what I asked you.
Let's go into your ballpark. Okay,
My
Gretchen
ballpark?
Whitmer.
What about her? Our
right,
local
wait.
dictator.
Yeah. Okay. Oh. Okay.
She's got look. She's already. All right. They've come out with numbers. There was 1 million people that were put out of work. 60% of them have gone back to work. So 400,000 jobs in Michigan have been lost because of her extended lockdown.
Because of her.
The lockdown.
Now you said that the Trumpster closed. The,
You want to go to my
the people-
neighborhood,
No,
and you go back to Trump.
No, I'm going to stay.
I know that
I'm going to stay
hatred's
in your
strong.
neighborhood. I'm going to stay in your neighborhood. But he said I closed China. Well, the people that came over with the virus came from Italy and Spain and France.
And China. The first one from Michigan came from China.
Okay, whether they came from China or not, he didn't stop it. Okay, so it's here. Okay, now every governor went through the same thing. As I said, when Vegas,
But Mike, now before you even go there, Trump at least was the first one to shut down the borders. Okay,
he shut.
each one of these governors could have shut down their own airports within their states.
Wait a minute. What do you mean he shut down the borders?
Well, the flights from China was the first one that he shut down.
But they came from Italy. They
What?
came from Europe.
They came from China first to Washington State.
No,
Yes.
no. The virus came. He did shut down China,
He
but
shut
it
down
came.
China
The people
in March.
they found that by tracing it,
No,
it came.
February.
The majority of the people came into New York from France, Italy, and
He
Spain.
shut them down, what, 3 weeks later after China? The European, or was it a month?
I think it was a month.
Yeah.
But still,
Why
no,
didn't the
reason
states
I,
do it?
The reason I jumped into yours is because all the states lost jobs. I was in Vegas when they shut the casinos down,
Yep.
giving the people 24 hours notice, you're out of here. That's
Right.
it. Find your own way home. And the airport, everything, they all shut down.
Right. That was during the 8
Okay,
weeks.
now that was Nevada.
Yep.
Okay, so a lot of jobs were lost there. A lot of jobs were lost in California. So it wasn't just Michigan.
I didn't say it was just Michigan. But the
that's what it
400,000 are here in Michigan.
You mean 40,000?
400,000 have not returned back to work in Michigan. All right. There's the people of Michigan are angry with this governor. Extremely angry with her right now. She has cost Michigan tens of thousands of businesses by her extended shutdown. Michigan is going to have tens of thousands of lawsuits because of her shutdown.
she the only-
Because
Is she the only
I'm only
governor?
talking Michigan.
No, I'm asking, is she the only governor that's done this? Or had this happen?
No, New York is one of them.
Okay. And?
California is one of them.
Okay.
Washington is one of them.
Okay.
And Florida, well, he opened it back up to avoid all that. But Michigan is the only one that I know
Okay,
of
good.
that the Supreme Court here in Michigan said what she done was unconstitutional and overturned her edicts.
Okay. Now, the thing was, what was her motivation in doing it? Now, let me ask you
It
this.
doesn't matter. You cannot make the cure worse than the disease. Okay, first off, all right, yes, we've had, what, 147,000
That's a-
confirmed cases of COVID. We have 10 million people, roughly, 9.91, but we'll say 10 million people here in Michigan. Okay? We've had, what, 6,900 deaths? And I'm not saying any death is too little.
Trivial.
Trivial. That's the better word. Thank you. But the facts are, when you have All right, so you have 69,000 or 6,900 deaths, which 21 to 2,400 of them are, I blame her, because she mandated that they can be put back into nursing homes and assisted living homes, just like Cuomo over there in New York. But the facts are 147,000 out of 10 million is what? 1.5 roughly percent.
And New York at this particular moment is...
This is what I'm getting at, okay? The fact is, of the swine flu, we had tens of thousands of people die every year from the swine flu, H1N1.
How many?
Tens of thousands.
Tens of thousands.
Over the entire country. Okay? I'm not saying Michigan.
Okay.
But we have we have a couple thousand every year that die from H1N1 here in Michigan as it is.
How many?
A couple thousand.
Okay. All right.
Okay? We get a new virus every 10 years.
Okay, what did they do with H1N1?
What did they do with it?
Yeah.
They didn't do what they did now. They didn't shut down the country.
Did they come up with a vaccine? Did it spread the way it does now?
Hey, I'm not saying that COVID-19 isn't worse than the virus that we have. But the problem is we get a new virus every 10 years, roughly, and you cannot make the cure worse than the disease.
Right, let me ask
Even
you.
if we have, we have 230-some thousand dead across the United States.
Then let me ask you. Put yourself in her place. What would you have done?
First off, I would have shut the airports down here in Michigan. As soon as I found out, because I know Michiganders travel to China. There's a lot of business people that go back and forth to China. That would have been the first thing I shut down. The minute I heard that Europe was starting to have it, it would have been the next thing I would have shut down right away. I wouldn't have waited on the president to do anything because the governor runs this state. Okay? Immediately, I would have been gathering up PPE, personal protection equipment, for the hospitals. The number one reason that they did this was to try not to overwhelm the hospitals. We didn't get close to overwhelming our hospitals.
Yeah, we did.
We did?
Yeah, we did.
Well,
Yeah, because the place I used to work did, in fact, not only were they overwhelmed, they shut one down and moved those people over, laid off an enormous amount of people. They did turn Kobo into, which it still is, it's in waiting right now.
The TCF?
Yeah, Kobo, when you get to be my
They didn't
age.
even hardly utilize any of those beds.
They didn't, but it's still there, and the pharmacy is still in operation. They are still using
You've
that.
got so many, you know what I think is there's too many damn chiefs and not enough Indians running around. You got too many different medical people saying different things than other medical people. So the issue is we need to get our economy open 100%. You know, protect our elderly and our people with existing conditions that they would be jeopardized. Protect them. They're the most vulnerable.
Some of the governors had to. Trump didn't take it serious. However, he did get in on. Please, he did. Don't even go there.
He mentioned it before the other governors did. He mentioned it on February 4th at the State of the Union, and our own governor didn't mention a word with her respond on COVID. All she wanted to do was attack the
Jared
Republican
Kushner.
Party. She's and right now you can look at what she's doing. In my opinion, and a lot of other people's opinion, she's
so you think
shooting
she
for a job in the administration of the Harris-Biden.
So you think that she should be?
She needs to be held accountable for some of her actions here.
So she should be kidnapped and tried.
Oh, I didn't say nothing about that. Was wrong. Don't even try to turn that one on to me on that.
Boy, Trump says that.
Hey,
She didn't thank
hear
him for
him
the
say that.
FBI protecting her.
She
For
didn't.
his FBI.
I was thankful she at least thanked law enforcement here in Michigan.
Of course she thanked law enforcement.
Took
But
her
what
a little
did no, it didn't. She had been thanking them while it was going on.
bit. Okay.
But the Speaker of the Senate wanted to know why he wasn't informed. Well, due to the fact that these are Republican diehards that were doing this, then he shouldn't have been.
Well, I think they should have been notified as well.
They
I really
needed
do
to
because
catch them. They needed to get the evidence.
out of curiosity, it's okay to jeopardize our Congress, but not our governor.
No,
Okay.
I didn't say that.
I just wanted to make sure of that.
He said that they should have informed him about
They
what was
should
going
have
on.
informed our lead legislatures as
It
well.
was an undercover operation, and even
They've known about it for months.
Yes, and there were people that could have been caught, that were almost caught wearing a wire.
Right.
Okay.
Hey, I'm not knocking it. Our law enforcement done a great job.
I say this, that Jared Kushner and Trump made a deal with India for the hydroxychloroquine.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so he had money invested, just like Jared Kushner was selling stuff in January to China, and then we ended up buying it back at a higher price. Yes, that's been verified.
Yeah, that I know is.
Okay, the hydroxychloroquine, Trump thought he was going to make a killing on it, so he bought all this from India, and it turned out it didn't make a damn bit of difference. Now, and you know what, that's funny, because
But
when he was
I
in
like the way you
hospital-
said Trump made the. He didn't use his money. It was U.S. taxpayers' money that you're talking about.
Are you sure?
I'm not sure about anything.
Okay.
Because you only seem to look for liberal answers when it goes
No,
against
I'm not
Trump.
looking
You
for
don't-
just
you don't do
liberal
your-
answers.
You're not doing your research
I'm
on
telling
both sides
you
of the aisle.
that all this stuff, the phone call with Ukraine and some of the things that he's done with his taxes and that.
You know, if these
they keep justifying
emails
it.
with Hunter Biden come out that are legitimate,
And what if they don't?
then that right there shreds the first.
Okay. All right. He demanded that Pompeo release Hillary's emails. I thought they were gone. I thought they couldn't find them.
33,000. I don't know
Yeah.
why. I know they're starting another investigation into
Yeah, allegedly
Clinton.
they found them. Now, what I'm curious of is why they didn't find Jared's and Ivanka's, because they did the same thing.
All right, here we go. You got to bring Trump into something.
No. if you're going to say one, then you say all. Otherwise, it's fake news. But here's my question: if Pompeo has them, it's 2 weeks before the election.
Mm-hmm.
If there was something on there and Trump wants her in jail, lock her up, lock her up, lock her up.
I think they're saying that about Biden right now, too.
Yeah, that he's the head of a crime family.
Yeah.
Yeah. He looks like the head of a crime family.
He does have beady eyes.
Okay, now, if that be true, where are they? If these things are there, if this stuff of Rudy Giuliani's
if these emails are legitimate,
if they're legitimate,
then he needs to be
okay,
prosecuted too.
the Intelligence Department has them, and they say there's nothing there.
No, I have not heard that.
I have heard that
Where did you hear that?
on these news
And
stories.
which ones are they?
But my point is,
Which ones are they?
well, as soon as I find them, but I didn't want to take the time here.
Because I'm
look.
telling you right now, none of the news places, new mainstream media is reporting a lot on all these.
Okay, Hunter Biden's story is a Russian disinfo, dozens of former intel officials say. More than 50 former intelligence officials signed a letter casting doubt on the province of New York Post story on the former vice president's son. Now, the thing is, if you have this information, and Trump wants it out right now, then bring it out. Now, Comey brought up Hillary a few days before the election, and it turned out to be nothing.
Do you think that was right what he did?
No, I don't. I really don't.
Right. Okay. Well,
But-
at least we agree on that.
But
He overstepped his boundaries.
Trump is about to do it again.
with.
He wants all this stuff out. Now, my question is, if you want it out, where is it? If you have it in your hands, then all you have to do is go to one of your rallies or bust into CBS, NBC, ABC and say, look, here it is. Here it is.
I agree with you on that.
Pompeo. But what you're doing is you're building up to nothing. Just like the caravan that was coming from before
South
2018 and the other tax cut he was going to make before 2018, and now the stimulus, which is going to happen before 2000. Or
Nancy Pelosi won't let it happen.
no. Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you. Good. All right. Okay.
She wants 2.2, and Trump saying he'll go higher or whatever.
McConnell urges White House not to strike stimulus deal before election.
But Nancy has also stated she doesn't want to do it.
She's not going to do it piecemeal the way he wants. This way he gets what he wants and nothing else.
But Nancy Pelosi wants to use it for
She wants it
bailouts on some of these states that
Some of
had
those-
issues with finances before COVID.
Doesn't
Trump
matter.
Has put everything into it. He says, I'll help these states out that have COVID issues.
Oh, now that's a bunch more crap because he just said last week he was not going to help California, and then the people in the White House overrode him and made him change his mind.
He has said he
And that-
doesn't want to
that
help
land-
California because of the
Because they're Democrat.
well, California's
He
the
hate. Okay, he has
bad
a
point
hate.
of this
He
country.
has more hate for his own people, the very people he's supposed to be representing. The very people you say he's for the people. He keeps criticizing them. See them up there? He puts them in danger. He puts
Our media.
our spies, our media. Yes, Khashoggi. That was okay. He even said, "I took care of that for him." That was an American citizen.
Yes, I know who it is.
But he allowed it. How about the guy from Michigan who's still in Russia? He's get 16 years of hard labor. Did he lift a
How
finger for
about all
that?
the ones under ISIS with Obama that got decapitated? You want to go back there and blame Trump for Khashoggi and them?
Well, wait a minute.
Now, wait.
No, Trump says that he took care of everything.
I'm just telling you.
How about the
We've
kids in
lost
the
more
cages?
under Obama. A lot of that, those pictures of that were from 2012. A lot of those videos that you've seen with kids in cages were from 2012.
The ones that are in there now are now. And they are on the floor with Mylar.
That's the way our system has worked.
So this is how it goes. Every time Trump does something wrong, well, look what Obama did. Well, I'm going to tell you something. I saw a documentary on Obama, you know, the guy that did the pictures. And I saw Obama was empathetic. He cared about people. He was a human being. Trump is a demagogue. Trump cares about Trump. Trump is a narcissistic, vindictive bastard.
Okay.
And seeing that he called CNN bastards, I'm going to return the favor to him.
All right, and you still haven't answered this
Okay.
question. What do you think of this 400,000 taxing only 400,000?
I think it's a starting point.
All right, it's a starting point.
I don't think it's going to go that way.
Let me explain to you how this works. Okay, he wants to raise the federal corporate business tax
Yes.
from 21% to 28%.
Did you know that
Now
there's a
wait,
percentage
now
of
wait.
CEOs
Let me
that
explain
want
how
that?
this goes.
Okay.
Anytime taxes are increased, it doesn't just go to the businesses. It goes to the consumer.
Oh, like tariffs?
Why do you do that? Let me finish with this. So, our tax rate, if Biden gets elected, is going to go from 23.6, which is what I currently pay between state and federal, is going to go up to roughly 41% if Biden gets elected. Just from his own
You make
stating that
$400,000 a year?
don't have to make 400,000 because 80% of those businesses are going to have to. They're going to go up to 8%. They got to raise their business up to 8% plus the 400,000. Those are the 80% of them. The only ones like if you Dan Lepp, the head of Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan, you know he's going to have to pay on that 400,000. Mary Barra of General Motors is going to have to pay unless they move out of Michigan. But at the same time, our taxes are going to go up. The middle class is going to pay that. Guaranteed. It has always worked that way. Because business ain't going to stay in business if they got to pay more in tax and not pass it on to the consumer.
Did you know that, and I know you know because I've thrown it at you before, that Trump paid the farmers $28 billion?
Over 2 years. 12 billion one year and 16 billion the next, I think, was, or vice versa.
Now, how long is that going to keep going?
I don't know how much longer. He put out billions of dollars for the
Whose
air.
money was it?
It's taxpayers.
Really? Which taxpayers?
All of us.
You and I.
Yeah. Federal tax dollars.
Yeah. How about I'm going to bring it up again. 120 for New York because Melania wanted a better prenup.
Hey,
120 million.
Every president costs us money, no
Yeah.
matter
It's
how
like
you do it.
Trump
They get
said
the right to go wherever they want to go.
Trump said that he could get money from ExxonMobil. ExxonMobil came out and said, no, you can't. We never said that.
Yeah, I understand all
Okay. Trump has given out money, federal money, and that gotten kickbacks from it.
How?
Yes, it went to his campaign.
How did we go from what it was going to cost us, the American taxpayer, because now you want to go back to Trump because of the hatred for one man?
No, the
Yes.
people at the top are not paying, and we are.
Trump paid millions of dollars on his taxes. Okay, he might not have paid it on the income tax portion, but he still paid millions of taxes in business tax. He paid millions of taxes in employee
To be
taxes.
determined.
It's still.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, you mean like at his winery last December when after everything was corked, he called ICE and his 19 employees were arrested and he didn't pay them at all? Yeah, are you talking about those? And about the illegal aliens that he had and about the visas to Mexico that he got his people from, wait a minute,
Next
his
show,
people
I want to
from
see you
Mexico.
do research on what's going on the Democrat side,
Well,
too.
wait a minute.
Not just the Republicans.
Not do as I say, not as I do. He said, we aren't going to let Mexicans come in here and take jobs, yet he brought them in on the visas, a certain type. He had a certain
Every
type.
president has control over our
certain
borders.
type.
They set their limits on how many immigrants are going to allow.
First of all immigrants are not.
Criminals? No, I know that.
Well, that's how he's made it out to sound.
Hey, I don't
Ladies
buy
and
that
gentlemen,
Kool-Aid.
before. Okay, you've heard some crap back and forth. But the bottom line is this, going back to the beginning of the show, it's really impressive to see all these people vote.
Yes.
It really is. It's what we should be doing. We're the ones that set the standard. We are the standard.
It's impressive that the early voters, but it's not impressive overall because we usually have between 120 to 200 million that vote every
regardless of whether you vote Democrat or Republican, the fact is people are taking this serious now. And that on itself
I will
is
agree
huge.
with you on that statement only after the election so I can see how many actually voted. Then you'll know how serious they took it.
Well, right now it's looking pretty impressive. So please vote.
Yes.
Please vote. Please vote. Only one time, though.
Yeah,
Because if you do
not
get
3
caught,
times.
if you do get caught voting, and you follow the president's, he will not pay your legal fees, and he will not pardon you. Vote one time. If you see any intimidation, you pull your camera out, you take a picture, you dial 911, or you go inside and say, this man or this woman was intimidating me. They are not allowed to speak to you. They are not allowed to say anything to you. They can watch. That's allowed. That's by law. But they have their area. Check your ballot. Make sure it's correct. Your ballot this time around, out of all the elections we have ever had, you have never had one that's more important. Will we stay a democracy or will we become an autocracy? One thing is,
First off, a republic, not a democracy.
you thought the last 4 years were chaotic, and in my opinion, not on that side of the screen, my opinion, you ain't seen nothing yet. Yours.
No, it is very important to vote. You have to get, that is your power, that is your right, it is your duty to vote. Please look at, and I don't care if you vote Republican, Democrat, look at the candidates, do your research, place an informed vote out there. Do not listen to friends and family over their recommendations. Yeah, you can take the recommendation, but pay attention, do your own research, vote for whoever, like I said, whether Republican or Democrat, that's going to benefit your family.
Argue it out the way we do. We're still going to vote.
We don't throw too awful much at each other, but at the same time, we still walk out of here as friends. We do get into heated discussions, but
And
it's
we're
worth
going to
it,
wear a
man.
mask.
Yes, I have my mask too.
We'll see you next time. Thank you again, and please vote.